Hey there, Terry here. Just a quick announcement that if you like giving voice to depression, you might also like my new podcast, Recoverable. On it, I will be asking experts the top 10 most searched questions about different addictions and mental health conditions and therapies. Look for Recoverable wherever you get your podcasts. Hello and welcome to the Giving Voice to Depression podcast, brought to you by Recovery.com. The best place to find mental health and addiction treatment for anyone, anywhere.
Each week, we profile a guest who shares openly about their mental health journey. They share because they understand that when people don't talk about their depression or other mental health conditions, those of us who do struggle with them can feel like we're the only ones, that there's something wrong with us, and that no one understands. We understand.
I'm Terry McGuire, the creator and co-host of this podcast. You have my promise that we'll keep it real here. Depression is real, and we're not going to sugarcoat our discussions about it.
Hope is also real, and you'll get a dose of that here too. I'm Carly McCullough, a licensed social worker and educator, and Terry's daughter. We've both experienced depression and also support loved ones struggling with it. We're here to normalize talking about depression and mental health in our communities, as well as our families.
And to share real-world tested strategies that have worked for other people who have walked similar paths. Thanks for joining us. Hi, Terry. So, you know how at the beginning of these episodes, we now mention the other podcast I produce and host, which is called Recoverable. This episode, as well as last week's, are from that podcast, but they're about depression. So I wanted to make them available to you as well, because I think you might be able to learn something from them, because I know I did. If you'd like to see a video version of this episode, it is available on YouTube. Just search for Recoverable. Welcome to Recoverable. I'm Terry McGuire, your host. Today is the second part of our conversation about depression with licensed therapist Asia Chavez. We talked a lot about the symptoms. Mm-hmm. I want to talk about how we provide support and help for somebody who has depression, how we ask for it if we need it ourselves, and how it's treated so that I can get a better understanding of therapy, meds, and the things that are neither of those, which are also helpful. Mm-hmm. So let's start by quickly reviewing what depression is and what it is not.
Let's start with what it is not. It is not laziness. Mm. We talked quite a bit about that and how it is quite different. We talked about we have a DSM diagnosis, and there are all of these symptoms that show up that allow us to differentiate and diagnose someone with there are a number of different types of depression. Mm-hmm. It's also not just persistent sadness.
Yeah.
Depression is something that impacts all areas of functioning in our lives. It is a medical condition that either has a huge impact, inability to function. It might have a little bit less of that deep impact, but still has an effect.
So some have a milder form that's persistent. Depression can be fatal if not treated.
Absolutely. Yeah. We spoke a little bit about my experience with that and how it got me alone and it almost got me dead. I'm someone who survived a suicide attempt in 2008, and it can be fatal. And there are something that can make understanding our own experience with depression or observing it in someone else that can make it really confusing is because there are all of these different types. There's depression that kind of comes and goes. Mm-hmm. There's a cyclical pattern to it. There's depression that is coupled with mania. There's depression that is just pervasive and persistent, long periods of time. Mm-hmm. There is depression that takes someone down at their knees and it maybe looks and we can see it and it is clear that this person is not well and not okay. And then depression can also show up with someone who is very high achieving and everything looks perfect and pristine on the outside. And yet there is this, you do the right? Because like we can, I myself have experienced that. We can feel that. It shows up in all different types and all different forms.
So given the different presentations, how does somebody know if they have depression or if somebody they care about does?
I think it's the impact and the shift that it has on our lives. It is for self. I'll talk about self. It's the thought process that comes with it. It's not just if I'm having a bad couple of days, I'm feeling really tired, I can't get out of bed. Sometimes we have that when we've like pushed ourselves too hard. It is this intersection of the biopsychosocial intersection of the thoughts. For me, depression was like just not a nice, it started off like, hey, I'm going to give you this like sweet, comfortable place to come and numb out and check out. But then it became louder, and it became like questioning my worthiness. And so that the thoughts mixed with the physical aspects of it. Maybe it's the sleep or the diet or the heaviness. Like I'll never forget the like deep weighted heaviness that depression would have on me. And then the moods, right? There's like the darker, deeper moods that are all kind of combined that let me know this is depression, babe. Observing it in others, when we're looking at it in others, we're looking at a shift in their normal kind of natural way of being. It's not always going to look like sadness. You and I talked about how it shows up as irritability. I'm not kind when depression starts to set in. I want everyone to go away, and I want to make it really clear it's their fault.
Oh, yeah. Because it is. Yeah.
Not mine. And it might be a quick, like, whoa, what is going on with my partner or with my child? This is so different. Or it might be a slow kind of deterioration that we're observing. It might look like somebody not wanting to get up and go to soccer practice, or somebody not wanting to come downstairs and watch the shows that they normally want to watch.
The change in what is normal for someone.
Yeah, the change. And it's really tough with teens because like that's
changes every minute. Yeah.
It changes every minute.
Yeah.
Right. It's tricky. There's not like a one size fits all answer when we're explaining to someone how to observe and how to help someone, a loved one who is struggling with depression, and for self either. It can be really confusing.
Yes. This podcast is sort of premised on asking the most asked questions on the internet, but I'm going to completely change that right now because I want to talk about a question that isn't asked, isn't searched often. Because I went through like the top 40 questions related to depression, and not one was about the thoughts. And I know from my own experience, and I know from the people I've interviewed, that is a really serious, I think it's the worst part. I can live with the other symptoms. And I mean that also literally. I don't like them. I don't like anything about it. I just hate depression. But the thoughts. So let's talk about that. Let's talk about the common lies that depression tells us. And to somebody listening, I bet they don't even understand it is a symptom because we're not taught that, but that you're a burden, that you'll always feel this way, that nobody understands, that of course you're not going to reach out and seek help or ask for help because nobody's going to help you because nobody cares. And they'd all be better off without you. Those are huge and they're so convincing, and it's just on a loop. That's why I slept so much. It was just to shut it up. But so let's talk specifically about the lies and the thoughts that are a symptom of depression that somehow never seem to make the lists in a helpful way.
Oh, you named so many of those thoughts that are on that loop. Yeah. And I'm smiling, and it's not because I think that this is fun, but it's every time I smile like that, it's like that deep relating. We don't talk about those thoughts because we are deeply ashamed of them. It's like depression showing up in one more way of silencing us. When we can be silenced by shame, Brené Brown talks about that being the petri dish for it to grow and fester and really become embedded and a part of who we are. The thoughts that you named, when I'm working with a client, it takes us a while to get to that point where they are able to even identify that those thoughts are not this normal, natural, inherent, innate way of thinking about themselves that it's like something else has shown up and taken over. It's hijacked that brain.
Yes.
And it is, we don't talk about it because I think we believe that all of those thoughts are true. I am not enough. I am a burden. I am the only one in the world that feels and experiences this.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel and experience this because there is something innately wrong and flawed with me.
100%.
I am going to hold on to this secret. I'm not going to let anyone see it because evolutionarily, if I do,
mm-hmm.
and I am separated and I no longer feel a sense of connection and belonging, I'm dead. Now, that's tricky with depression because depression kind of wants us alone and it wants us dead. Right? That's what I tell myself. That's how that's depression's hold on me. It wanted me alone and it almost had me dead. I see that in so many clients and others that I work with, that process of getting them separated.
So you're a therapist. Why isn't there like a list in a room that says these thoughts are symptoms, not truths?
Well, hey, that's a great question. Maybe that's something that we need to create because we are so focused on, I'm going to see if I'm in a roundabout way of answering this. We in our society, man, we don't want to talk about those thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
We actually don't even really want to talk about feelings, but we are very willing to talk about our physical symptomology. I will tell you that I have a headache
mm-hmm.
and I will tell you that my stomach is churning and I'll tell you all of my physical symptomology that I'm experiencing.
Mm-hmm.
I'm probably going to try to justify it and name it as some sort of physical ailment,
mm-hmm.
right? I'm not going to equate them at all with anxiety, depression. And we are just very accustomed to talking about the physical representation of internal struggles, but we have no real true emotional literacy and I'm someone of the generation in the 90s where we had like the counselors came in and they showed us like our personal space bubble and we talked about feelings like sadness. We still very much struggle with the verbiage, the insight, the ability to say, hey, these are the thoughts that I'm experiencing. These are the feelings that I'm experiencing. We're really good at talking about physically what we're experiencing. Yeah. And I think that maybe going back to your question of like, why as a therapist don't we have this list of questions just kind of like on our
Here's
on our
something
board?
You might be thinking, so it's just out there.
Yeah. I mean, I think that is a great idea. As a clinician, many times we don't want to limit right it down to I'm someone who would do this. I might look at that list and say, well, that's not exactly
sure
what I think. And so, I must not have I must not have depression.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that we do need to address the thoughts because the thoughts are, for me, what took me down.
Oh, the worst.
It's like we were talking about anxiety before. The feelings, the physical feeling of anxiety, I cannot tolerate. I will do anything to figure out a way, maneuver, manipulate to get rid of those feelings. The depression feelings, I don't know. I kind of like them. I don't mind feeling heavy and like I can tolerate and live with that.
Mm-hmm.
The thoughts, that's the part for me too, that I cannot escape. I could not get away from. I needed to silence and shut them up. That's what for me ultimately had me thinking like, hey, suicide is an option here because I have to make this stop. Because depression, not nice. Not nice up there in that internal dialogue. A real jerk. Really lies to me. Had me believing I was the most worthless human being on the planet.
So I think this would be a good place to just mention, if you're relating to those thoughts, that there are things like 988. What should somebody who's saying like, so while maybe one of them isn't, those other things, I think them all the time. What now? Where should they go with that?
A professional.
Yeah.
988 for sure. If there is a
988 being the crisis hotline.
Yes. You don't have to be on the verge of a suicide attempt to utilize that hotline. These are folks who are trained to help you understand you, your thought process, what you're feeling, what you're experiencing, and put your hand in the hand of someone else who can help and guide you from here. Nice. It can be that you maybe have had fleeting thoughts. about wanting to die or feeling hopeless or feeling like a burden, or some of what we're talking about today, you're starting to relate to, and you don't even know where to begin. When you are riddled with depression, can you imagine how difficult it is to identify a therapist, pick up the phone, get on the internet, whatever you need to do? That process alone, no.
Yeah, it's a lot of steps if you can't shower. Yeah.
It's a lot of steps.
Yeah.
If you cannot get out of bed. 988 can be wildly helpful. It can save your life. It can save a loved one's life. They are there to help guide every step of the way, help you find resources, help you just maybe feel validated or seen.
Yep. And they have heard it before. I worked at a crisis line.
Yes.
It helped a lot to know when I have called them as well, that no matter what I say, they're not going to be like, I'm sorry, wait, what? You're thinking what? They're going to be like, I hear this all the time, not in a dismissive way, but it's familiar to me. So don't feel so other and so flawed. Need to say that. That's really important because it is just, I hate to follow up with this question, but it was on the internet. Is depression something that goes away? Or should we be thinking of it like diabetes or something that needs to be controlled and managed?
I really wish I could say yes. I really wish for every single person that is deeply struggling with depression that I could say, you're going to take some pills and you're going to do some CBT therapy and it will go away. It's not something that we are ever fully cured. Now, I think of it as something like being in remission. Yeah. Or having these phases of really being in wellness and well-being and joy and connection. Depression is something that kind of remains with us for maybe through the entirety of our lives, and it's going to look and feel differently. It will have its ebbs and its flows and its evolution. But I, as someone who it took me down so hard, I don't have the luxury of believing that I am like cured from depression. The second I feel that I am cured and it no longer exists is the moment that it invites itself back in, because I stop doing all of the things that I need to do to keep depression at bay and to keep myself well.
Preventive measures. And it's interesting because we had a foot of snow this week and I shoveled and I hurt my back. So it's like, I know I have warning signs, right? I call it like, it's like the string on a bass. It goes bang, and I go, I have to be more careful. 30 seconds later, I forget because I have a million things to do and I just keep going. I have learned over the years, like, I'm going to feel like I feel right now if I don't pay attention to it because I ended up hurting it. I don't do that all the time with the depression. No. But it is essential to say like, okay, I actually just thought maybe it would be better if I wasn't here. Or driving, I remember driving just thinking all the different ways I could stop all this right now. I know I'm harping on this, but I just feel so strongly that if we can notice those early warning signs and do something about it, reaching out to 988, and we define what a crisis is for ourselves, doesn't have to be, some alarm level thing. It's like, I'm not me. I'm not me right now. And I don't like what's happening in my body. I don't like what's happening in my head. I need to talk to somebody, and they're there. Let's shift focus to people wanting to support somebody in their life with depression. Given how isolating depression is, real good chance that if we go up to our partner, our child, whomever, and say, are you okay? I'm fine. Leave me alone. I've said it a million times. I'm fine, So if you're concerned about somebody in your life, what is a way that's more likely to work that we can reach out to offer some support?
Okay. Have you heard the acronym for FINE?
Oh, no, but I'm going to try to guess it.
It starts with a curse word. I won't say the curse word, but effed up, insecure, neurotic, and emotional is like one of the. So my cue when I hear someone say I'm fine, and I might coach parents, work with teens a lot. So I might coach parents in saying, when we ask that initial question, right? How are you doing? We want to hear the answer, I'm fine.
You do.
We want to hear that.
Yeah, we want them to be fine.
We want them to be fine. We want our coworker to be fine.
We do.
And most of us, unless we are a trained clinician or we've been through this, we don't actually know what to do or say if someone says that they're not fine. So when we get that fine, we go, okay, great.
Yeah, I'm done. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great. You have a gut instinct.
Yeah.
We've lost, so many of us have lost our internal knowing, our internal gut instinct. If you are asking someone, how are you doing? You already know. You probably have already seen some indicators that they might not be feeling like themselves. There might be something off. There's nothing we want more than to be seen and to be understood and to be heard. And yet when someone comes in and sees us, we immediately reject it.
Right.
I'm fine.
Right.
It's fine. I'm
so
fine.
How do you get past it?
You don't stop there.
Yeah.
Hey, I don't think you're fine. And here are the reasons why I'm saying this. You give the evidence.
I've noticed this and this is being different about you.
Yeah. This is what it's felt like being in a relationship with you lately. Now, we all go through times of, I'm not saying I need you to be happy and joy-filled and toxic positivity and all of that. There has been a shift that I have noticed. I want to talk about that. If you're not open to talking about it right now, right? Because we are prepared as the parent, as the partner, we prepare ourselves to go in and have this conversation and we identify the right time at the dinner table with the rest of the family. There is not the right time.
Yeah.
Just saying. They're not prepared. So it might hit them as oh shoot, I got to hide this. I have to keep this secret.
I let it show.
Show. So we go and you have the initial conversation. I'll tell you this. When someone asked me that, I would get mean and I would hurt people to keep them away. Right? That was my defense mechanism. I'm going to do something that's going to somehow sabotage this relationship. So you stop seeing my pain. You stop seeing my struggle. That's going to happen. Your teenage daughter or son, they're going to potentially blow up on you. They might distract you with something over here. It's because of you. It's because you and dad are always fighting, blah, blah, blah. We're going to find all the ways to try to distract somebody away from actually stepping back into that difficult conversation. Step back into that difficult conversation. Do not let their initial attempts at pushing you away, hurting your feelings. No, everything's totally fine. Look I'm getting straight A's. That was me. I'm getting straight A's. I'm still playing soccer. Nope, everything's fine. Be willing to be uncomfortable in those conversations. They will be uncomfortable. Be willing to say things that maybe might hurt the other person's feelings. Be willing to get a therapist.
I agree. And I know that not everybody has access to therapists, and I know that not everybody can afford it. So I guess I'm speaking to those who can, which seems a little wrong. But I introduced therapists to my children at a very young age. I said, if you have trouble with your feet, I will bring you to a podiatrist. Your eyes, I'm going to bring you to an optometrist. Your feelings, I'm going to bring you to a feelings doctor. Because there will be some times that I'm not the right person to have this conversation with. Maybe you don't want to tell me. Maybe it involves me. I'm your mom. I'm the big bad mom. Who knows why? But if something's a little bit off, which is pretty much all I said, was like, let's just bring you somewhere where you can talk to somebody who isn't me and see if it helps. And I think it did. It was also a safety thing for me because I was like, I don't want to get this wrong. I was afraid. I'm always afraid. It's part of my diagnosis. But, I think that is a really important thing. And it was just, something's just off, sweetie. Let's just get this checked. Because you would with any other health issue.
I think what you named is the accessibility to resources is something that so many folks in our country struggle with. And so that when we're looking at barriers to care, that is something that many folks maybe that are listening to this are going to say, well, that's nice for you.
Right.
You have the resources to be able to afford therapy, or insurance covers it, or wherever geographically where you are. There's so much being done to provide access to care in our country, even in very rural areas. Please, please, please don't allow the belief that you can't afford it or that you don't have access to it to keep you from seeking it out. That's, again, something that 988 can be really helpful with, is helping you find resources in your area. There are a lot of remote options. There are a lot of very low cost or no cost options. I did my practicum it was supposed to be low cost, but it was like we were no cost for everybody. We did phenomenal therapy. Nice. They got really high quality therapy for no cost.
How do you find that?
You have to be willing to ask. Schools are typically maybe a first place to start. Speaking to a school counselor. If you are in college, go to your college counseling. If you have an EAP program in your place of employment, seek that out. The internet is a good and a bad place to look for that. I believe what you all do here at recovery.com, there's, you find access to resources for others. It's being willing to do a little bit of the research and kind of navigate through some of the murky muckiness of it. Psychology Today is a great place to go on and look for clinicians in your area or that provide, sliding scales or low cost.
So we both know that when you're in depression, you can't do that.
You can't do that.
Yeah. So how do we help somebody and say, like, and maybe that's it. Maybe it's an ask. Maybe it's specific. Like, I just need some help finding a free therapist. I need help finding a support group. I need help finding something as opposed to, what, help me. I mean, if somebody's not able to say, I'm going to do an internet search and then I'm going to compare and contrast the offerings of several therapists while I decide what I can not actually even afford, it's not going to happen. So how do we help somebody find something they can access and afford for them or with them?
Many times it's not going to be the individual who is struggling themselves, where depression is kind of taken over, that are going to be able to do the seeking and the navigating. It's really going to be asking someone to help you. If you have someone in your life that you can let in, some folks might be watching this or listening and thinking, I have no one.
No.
There's no one.
I would have said the same.
I would have said the same thing too. Yeah. I was surrounded by people who loved me. And that's not the case for everybody. Yeah. I mean, it really is the case for some folks that come into care where they are very isolated and they are very alone in life. And I understand that. If there is someone that you can invite in to help you, and you can ask, it's going to take the energy to ask. It's going to take the energy to be along for the seeking. If you can, please do that. Please ask someone for that help to get you at least into the care of someone who can get you on a path.
Oof.
Yeah, that's heavy, right?
It is. It's hard.
I think about, I had a career. I had friends. I had a family that deeply loved me. I had an EAP program at my work that I didn't utilize, by the way, because I didn't think that I had depression because it had lied to me so much. And I still felt so alone. I felt so lonely in my experience. I felt so alone. And I mentioned before, I had a therapist. I wasn't even telling my therapist that I was struggling with this. I really empathize with the folks that really are in a place of being alone and really don't have the easy access to resources. There is hope.
Okay, I got to stop you right there and say, you know what it feels like to not have hope.
Yeah.
How, as a therapist, do you connect people to hope when everything feels so hopeless when you're deeply depressed? Why would I believe you?
I don't ever come in from a place of there is hope. In those initial, I'm saying this now, maybe just to try to connect with somebody. But as a clinician, I start to help them see that for themselves. It's almost like I talk about like a Jedi mind trick kind of way of going about it. If I were to come in and do that, Brené Brown talks about the silver lining of things. Hey, at least you still have your job.
Love the at least. Yeah.
At least she talks about someone who's experienced a miscarriage. At least you know you can get pregnant. do not ever start a sentence with at least for anybody who's in struggle with anything. Silver lining it isn't going to help. Pointing out all of the things that someone has in their life isn't going to be helpful.
So much to be grateful for.
You have so much to be grateful for. That makes us feel even worse.
Right.
That makes us feel
ungrateful to all the other things that make me not a good human.
Yes. Here's one more piece of evidence of why I suck, why I am unworthy, all of the things. As a clinician, what I do, or as someone who is, let's say you and I are really good friends, right? And you're going into a phase where depression's getting real big and it's getting real loud. And I can see that. And I want to be helpful. I might just start quietly showing up. I'm going to show you with my actions and my evidence that you are someone worthy to show up for, even when you're like a blob on the couch. I'm going to start to maybe talk with you about, and please don't talk with somebody who has really, really deep crippling depression about all the things in the future that they have to look forward to. That sends us into panic mode. I can't even get out of bed to wash my hair. How on earth am I going to interview for this job in 2 weeks? I'm tapping out, no. It's the slow, subtle showing up. As a clinician, I start off by asking someone, does it feel like this? Or does it feel like this? Or does it feel like this? Does it feel like a heavy weighted blanket laying on top of your brain or your body? Or does it feel like from the moment you wake up, you want to punch somebody in the jugular and every single thing makes you so mad that I start doing those types of conversations to have someone tease out for themselves what it looks, what it feels like. And then we start moving towards, once there is this, I feel seen, someone gets it.
And by presenting those things you're saying, these are what I've seen before. So it's like, wait, it's not just me.
I can't come in and say, I'm going to normalize your experience for you, because depression will be like, dink, get out of here.
Right.
We are done listening to this. I cannot trust you. But it's in the presenting of what we're presenting is, you're not alone in this, because so many others have, me, myself, so many others have experienced it, that sometimes it might look or feel like this. Is that your experience? Is that the case for you? If they don't have the verbiage to be able to come in and say it for themselves. So it's this building up of this insight and awareness, being seen, being able to then communicate it. And then we start to move into that in and of itself starts to build hope. Someone gets me and sees me. When they start being able to share those horrible thoughts that we were talking about, you're a fat, ugly, whatever. That's depression many times, by the way, when it starts to attack your character or your physical appearance or you as a human. Then it's starting to build in these, tell me something that maybe used to bring you. It's not like, okay, we're going to identify all the things that are going to bring you joy and are going to bring you, right? Like you're jumping the gun.
Front of mind.
You're going too far.
Too fast.
It's like, hey, tell me something that used to give you the like warm tingly. You know the warm tingly? Do you know the warm tingly, what I'm talking about right now?
I think of it as a sip of cocoa. Yes.
Yeah. It's the like, feeling. I did a meditation this morning where it was, anyway. And for some people, it might be like, oh, when I pet my cat, when I water my plants, I feel that. Or, it can be something very small.
Yeah. Surprisingly so.
We forget that joy and sadness coexist at the same time. We talk a lot about dialectical behavioral therapy coexisting at the same time. Two very different experiences. Inside Out. Inside Out 2 does a beautiful job representing this.
Great movie.
Sadness and joy live at the same time. They're actually working together sometimes. So you can be very depressed and you can still have glimmers of joy. And something that I do with my clients in the residential program is providing them opportunities to experience joy and then giving them the space and the time and the verbiage to explain and express that. What did that feel like? They want to be like, it was nothing.
Right.
I mean, they're teens, but also depression wants to tell us that was nothing. It's not sustainable. Don't even go there. But to be able to say, I ran into the ocean and I felt like I giggled and I felt the cold rush. I felt it in my whole body. Oh, you felt something in your whole body. Whoa, you ran? Like you ran into the ocean? Someone who couldn't get off the couch yesterday to go to group? That's huge. Can I just point out to you how huge that is? You might not be able to do that tomorrow, but today, amazing. That's evidence of accomplishment. And a lot of times depression, when we have depression, we need that evidence of accomplishment. We need that evidence that joy is still there. Joy comes before hope many times. We start to experience that tingly, and that tingly is what that warmth, that is what will start to build up into hope.
And it's interesting to hear you talk about something as seemingly small as petting a cat or watering your plant. But when I worked at the crisis line, we had to ask, once someone said that they were not suicidal, what they were going to do that night.
Yep. Basically
to get through it. And the answers were not big. No. The answers were not, planning a vacation because they were depressed. It was those little things and a lot of cat videos. But sometimes it was music, it was a movie. You'd be surprised, you wouldn't be, I was, how seemingly small those things were. But if a YouTube video can make you smile during a depression, go for it, and that's both can exist at the same time. So I hadn't thought about that preceding hope and being a step on the path toward reconnecting with it. But we should talk about medications too, because that was my experience. So deep depression, in bed, better part of 2 years, wishing to not wake up every single morning. One day finally clicks, not unfortunately because someone said, hey, Tara, go to a doctor. But I did and started on antidepressants, which I've been on and off for decades. About 4 weeks later, I had a floor beneath my feet. And I was like, oh my gosh, I could have not lost years of my life. So I know people hate meds, and my phrase is always that you either swear at the mention of meds or you swear by them.
I like that.
And for me, it's, it's like I just need a floor beneath my feet so I can make some choices. Yeah. But otherwise, if I'm just still dropping, I can't make a decision. I can't do anything for myself. So let's talk about medication and therapy, because those are always the top two that are talked about with depression. Sure. And then for people who really just do not want either of those two things.
Yeah. Medication saved my life.
Yeah.
And I also really respect and appreciate folks who are resistant or for any number of reasons, cultural reasons, whatever someone's reason is, I respect that. And I understand that. As a clinician, as a program, we're always looking to navigate and be aligned with someone in their hopes for themselves, right? We want to, as clinicians, provide someone the autonomy to make the decisions for themselves. And I think of taking medications when you are deeply depressed as someone who, if you were to correlate it to someone who has diabetes, right?
Yeah.
And needs to take their medication to be able to function and be well in the world, many times that is the case with depression. For me, I've had to take it for long periods of time, or I've had to take it for shorter periods of time. When you talked about that, like 4 weeks in, you felt a floor underneath you. I will never forget the moment I went to treatment in a place in Arizona. I had been there 4 weeks. I was sitting outside one day on a rock, and all of a sudden it was this, oh, there's a sun feeling. I felt warmth. I was like, it was like a clearing happened. The fuzziness was gone. It was just a wild experience. It wasn't like a burning bush moment per se, right? Like it wasn't like depression is gone, but I had this moment of something just changed. Something just shifted. Medications and being willing to be on the path of finding the right medication that works for you is so key. The first medication that you take might not always be the one that's going to be the game changer right out of the gate. That was really frustrating for me. I am a results-driven person.
Yep.
You got to give me that good stuff and I want to feel good and I want it to feel good now or I'm going to completely give up on it.
Yeah.
I think that's part of that like a personality perfectionism piece. And so my journey, my process with medications was really frustrating. And it was a lot of like what I name as like false starts and feeling like I was, wasting time and wasting energy. And I started to lose trust in providers of like, you didn't get this right again.
Right.
It had nothing to do with the providers. It just had to do with finding the right medications that worked for my struggle and my body and blah, 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 blah. Be willing to be on the journey with it. So many times, especially with the teens that we work with, but I myself have experienced this where taking the medication to be able to stabilize, getting that floor underneath you, being able to feel the sun, where I could then go in and do the deeper therapeutic work. If a therapeutic path is something that you are going to embark on, I needed that foundation, that stabilization to be able to even hear and be present enough to do that therapeutic work. It also allowed me to show up for my job. It allowed me to show up for my loved ones, for my children, for the things that I needed to show up for. It gave me, I remember having a provider that talked about like, it's just going to give you a little bit of a buffer. You're not going to stop feeling. Your personality is not going to change.
Oh, talk about that. Yeah.
Because I was scared of that.
Hear it all the time. Yeah.
Even though I kind of hated myself, I still didn't want to the contradiction of like, right. I still didn't want to change everything about who I was. I was afraid professionally I would lose my edge.
Right.
I was afraid
be a zombie.
I was afraid I was going to be a zombie. I was afraid of the weight gain, vanity, whatever. I was terrified of that. There were so many, reasons and questions and fears that I had around taking medication. And at some point, I had this counselor and she was just very blunt. I'm very blunt as a therapist. I think it's just who I am, but I also attribute it to her. She gave me permission to. And she was like, do you want to be pretty or do you want to be dead? And I was like, well, when you put it like that.
I had a guest on the podcast say, you have to learn to love the thing you hate the least. I didn't love the weight gain. I didn't love the, whatever changes came, but I liked them a lot more than wanting to be dead.
Yep.
And like that's not even close for me. And then I tried a different one that didn't have those same side effects, but at least I got out of that mind because I couldn't do it myself. If desire, I don't even know if I had the desire now that I think back to that time. But I mean, if being a go get 'em gal and get stuff done isn't how I usually say that phrase, person was all that was required. My depression would have lasted like 8 minutes because I would have been right on it, but that just wasn't an option. Yeah,
it wasn't like for me, it's not like I lacked motivation. It's not like I was a lazy person in life. It's not like I really needed something to shift chemically what was happening in my brain and in my body so that I could get on a path.
I found a bit of comfort in the fact that meds worked because it confirmed for me that it wasn't just in my head, that there was something physical, there was something medical, there was something biological about it that could be addressed with medications. So as much as I didn't want to need them or take them, I did find some comfort in the fact that they worked for me.
Isn't that nice when we learn that we're not just like innately failed, flawed humans?
Oh, it's so convincing because there's evidence everywhere. It just depends on which lens you're looking through. Yeah. This is from the internet. Do I really need medication or can I treat depression naturally or with prayer?
I live in LA. We love all of our natural remedies. I grew up in a household that was not quick to medicate. I think, yes, and it's going to look different to go the non-medication natural remedy path. And I think it's really important that when we go that path, that there is an additional support system built in around someone who is navigating the natural remedy path. But it also depends on the level of depression, how it depends on the type of depression. I'm not someone who's like, medication is the only way to go. No, the natural path and way of being is like for the people that are granola. And I say that from someone who owns lots of Birkenstocks. I would never, that's a question that for me, it depends.
Yeah.
Same with prayer. Ooh, I am a deeply spiritual person. My connection with my higher power now brings me so much relief. I feel so deeply connected. I feel a sense of belonging. Those are both antidotes to depression, right?
Protective factors, yes.
Yeah. I feel a sense of hope because of prayer. And for me, and for many people that I've worked with, prayer and faith didn't really even kind of touch the depression. And for me, it was because I'm sure people were praying for me. My mother is deeply religious. My family is deeply religious. And I was still very much in a place of hopelessness. So while I think that prayer and faith can be wildly beneficial and extremely helpful, I wouldn't say that we want to just depend on that. But man, keep your higher power close.
Yes. I had a podcast guest word it. She was an attempt survivor and said, and had been raised with the give it to God strategy. And she had very strong faith, still does today. But the way she worded it after that experience was pray, with every fiber of your body on your way to the pharmacy, picking up your meds, or pray on your way to the therapist, because sometimes you'll need other tools too.
Yeah.
And I appreciated the way she said it.
For me, it was my higher power that finally allowed me to have the willingness and the openness. It was because of my prayer and begging, show me what I need to do. Help me find my path. That I firmly believe that that's what gave me the willingness and the openness to be on my wellness journey, which included medication and included therapy and included, it was my higher power that was like, oh, babe, I've been waiting forever for you to ask me this. Here you go. And also I've been showing you over and over and over again, all of these different avenues that you could potentially take to get on this path. And I was the one that was like, no, that doesn't seem fun. No, thank you.
Right.
That seems like a lot of work, or really. Yeah.
I'm of the don't rule anything out that isn't dangerous. You know?
If we look at it like a wellness wheel, we're going to find what works and fits for us. Do not base your wellness wheel off of this person's wellness wheel over here. That comparison, it's always going to lead to despair. You hear the phrase compare and despair. Don't do that. Find what works for you. If that's prayer and medication and meditation and this and that.
Journaling and sunshine and yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Great. You found your magic sauce. You found your wellness.
And the thing that works today may or may not work tomorrow, or may or may not have worked yesterday. So it helps, I think, to have a lot of different tools so that you can kind of pick and choose and see what works today.
Yeah.
So we've talked about therapy, we've talked about medication, we've talked about some of the more natural or holistic techniques and tools that can help us as well. What does somebody do if those thoughts that we've been talking about, the scary thoughts, the intrusive thoughts, and in particular, the dangerous thoughts, suicidal thoughts, if they start to come in, what is our safest move to protect ourselves and get us to a place where we can shift out of it, hopefully?
Speak up. Share that with somebody. If you have that trusted person or you have a therapist, please name that. It will get bigger and it will get louder the more that we silence it and the more that we keep it secret. Secrecy is the invitation for depression and hopelessness to get bigger and bigger.
And how do we know if somebody in our life who is experiencing depression is having those thoughts? Do you straight up ask?
Yes. There is a misconception that if you ask somebody, are you feeling suicidal? Or are you feeling like you want to die? That it will put the thought in their mind that suicide is an option. It does not. someone who is not suicidal will not automatically start thinking about wanting to die. If you ask them, have you been having any thoughts about not wanting to be here anymore? Have you ever considered suicide? Directly ask.
You just asked two different questions, and I think it's important because when I trained in suicide prevention, I was told to ask, are you suicidal? Are you considering killing yourself? I understand really direct question and also the importance of it. Do you ever wish you weren't here?
Yeah.
Do you think about death in a welcoming way?
Yeah.
Because when I was asked the questions in the doctor's office, are you suicidal? No.
Yeah.
Absolutely not. Never. I've never had a plan. I've never, but did I wake up every morning wishing I hadn't? Yes. And that's a conversation that could stop it from getting someplace else. So I appreciate that you worded it both ways. And I think they're both really important.
Extremely important. And it's going to give you a different set of answers.
Yeah.
And it's going to help you know which direction to go in.
And have a real conversation.
Have a real conversation.
It's the exact opposite of how are you?
Yeah. And I just want to remind those that are nervous to step in and ask, there is nothing that we want more as humans to be seen and to be heard and to be understood. We might not like you in the moment when you ask that, but we will love you later on. Promise.
It's just the perfect place to end. I'm so grateful for your time and you sharing your expertise.
Yeah.
And your personal experiences. That was hard.
Yeah.
I appreciate that you went there to help other people.
Thank you. Of course. Yeah. Even with the emotion that comes up with it, it's still something that I know is greatly helpful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it even helped me. So thank you.
Oh, thank you.
And if you think, and I can tell you that it can be helpful to hear other people's stories of life with depression to learn what works for them and what doesn't and what words even they use to describe it so that you have them to describe your own. I invite you to listen to Recovery.com's Giving Voice to Depression podcast, which I also host. So if you aren't sick of me yet, there's close to 500 episodes there. And we'll be back next week with a deep dive into another topic.
We really hope that this discussion helps give some language or context to your own depression or ideas for how to support someone else in your life living with it. We invite you to check out the hundreds of episodes in our archive and to explore both the Resource Hub and treatment options on Recovery.com. Depression is too dark a road to walk alone.
We'll be back next week.